Hey guys, the gamer here, and I got something in the mail the other day that I wasn't expecting until the first of the year. So I'm gonna do an unboxing video for my new Steam controller. Uh, I'm pretty excited about this. This is like the first legitimate PC controller I've ever bought. So between that and the whole trackpad thing, uh, I'm pretty excited to get it out of the box and check it out. So let's get to it. I thought I was prepared for this and had all the seals broke. Apparently not. We'll use those scissors here, but alright. So, open the box. Very nice presentation. Bigger than I thought it would be. It's actually, I think, a little bit taller than the Wii controller, which might be good. I always thought the Wii controller was just a hair small for my hands. Feels quite comfortable. So these triggers feel like they're analog. These two are just buttony. Analog stick feels nice. All in all, it feels pretty solid, which is just, oh. Well, this back piece comes off. Oh, that's for batteries. Well, I did not know that this was battery operated. Good thing I have lots of rechargeable batteries. That's weird that it's the back panel, the buttons are on the panel. It's an interesting design choice. And it did actually come with the same batteries that are apparently permanently fused to the box. Little adapter for it. And two AA batteries. Underneath the insert. Got the quick start guide and just general product guide. So that's it for the unboxing. There's nothing else in here. Oh wait, maybe there is. What is this? Oh. Some sort of USB adapter. There's a connector too. Oh, I hope these comes out. Can never have enough of these. Looking like a USB cable. So I'm not 100% on exactly what this thing's for. But we will find out, and I will get the computer up, and we will start connecting. Hey guys, that unboxing was at the beginning of the year, actually end of December. I ran into several issues when I tried to actually use the controller. Primarily, big picture mode would not run at all under any circumstances. The controller did still function, but without any way to configure or control how it was operating. I didn't want to continue with the review without having proper control of the device. Recently, there's been several beta updates for Steam, and as you can see, big picture mode is now working. And this is the controller configuration and screen. I have to say that this is the most robust and customizable controller configuration I have ever seen. Literally every button has numerous options. The trackpads can be set as any style of input you want. It can be a mouse region, it can be a touch menu that makes a pop-up menu come up when you touch the pad with customized options. It can be your joystick for movement, your joystick for camera. It can be a mouse-style joystick. It can be the mouse. It can be a button pad. It can be a directional pad. It can be nothing at all. And then, like, each of these has even more options for controlling that mode. That alone is major points for this controller. That being said, in games that do not natively have joystick support, it seems like you might run into some issues. I was trying to play Robocraft with this, and at least with using a hovercraft, trying to fly around, it could have been the design of my vehicle. It could be the fact that the game doesn't actually support joystick configuration, and I was converting, joystick input to keyboard input. It didn't seem to work right. Ground vehicles, it works fine, and aiming with it is pretty good. I won't be doing any kind of demonstration right now. I just wanted to get a final review and demonstration of the configuration screen done so I can get this uploaded. I may do a gameplay demonstration if there seems to be interest in that. But as far as in games that do support joystick, it works well. Trackpads take a little getting used to. It is really quite different using a touchpad for movement or whatever instead of a joystick, just because that's what most of us are used to. If you're used to using a trackball, you'll probably adapt a lot easier. There's actually a trackball mode available too, I think, under the mouse settings. But as far as configuration, like the joystick here, you can have it function as a directional pad, and then the directional pad can be mapped to either joystick directional pad commands, keyboard commands. It even has a multi-button toggle, so like if you need to hit Shift W to do something, you can program that into one button, and then name it whatever you want. Then when you go back, then that's what's now assigned to that, and it tells you exactly what you've got mapped where. The button pad can be mapped to, as you can see here, keyboard keys or Xbox 360 buttons, basically. The triggers have separate configurations available for the analog and full pull options. Literally anything. You can even use the gyroscope in the controller as your movement joystick, so that tilting the controller moves your character or vehicle or whatever. Pretty much any scenario you can think of, and you can even use a mix on here. Right now the other keys are all mapped to the arrow keys on the keyboard. I can have this be the Y button if I want, actually, because I had the multi-button option on still. It mapped it to all of those. now. The up is the X button for an Xbox 360 controller, and then the other three are keyboard keys. So you can use a combination. I've used I set one up for Fallout, just messing around with it, where the joystick was mapped to joystick move, and I had the D-pad mapped to the mouse wheel, and the touchpad was mouse look, and left trigger was left mouse, and right trigger, I set that up so that when you're using the sights, the soft pull was the same as left click, and then for full pull, I had that. Oh, right, I had that as left stick, click, plus left trigger. That should be left trigger. With the multi-button toggle, so that I didn't actually have to click the left stick in order to hold breath, because whenever I do that, I end up drifting to one direction because I don't push the stick down perfectly straight. So now, full pull on the trigger does the zoom with scope and hold breath. And, I mean, it could even be, you could have it shoot too if you wanted. But, so lots of options for customizing. Obviously, the Steam button, you can't customize. That brings up the Steam overlay. And it does work with games not from Steam. I went in my library and added shortcuts to a couple games that I have that, if I can find them. Well, I had shortcuts on here. I had to wipe my Steam preferences, so I think I might have lost those shortcuts. But, I set shortcuts to games that I have installed outside of Steam, and launching it through here, it gives me controller configuration for the Steam controller, and it works with the game perfectly fine. So you are not limited to just playing games on Steam with the Steam controller. You can play any game you have on your computer, which is very cool. Which makes it even more confusing that it's so tied in with big picture mode. Like, I couldn't even update the firmware on the controller until I got big picture mode working. So I was a little frustrated with that for a while. But it's working now, it works well. Steam shows you what games have joystick support. And as long as the controller is on, you've got controller options and configurations for each individual game. So each game can have its own customized configuration. You don't have to go through and remap everything every time you want to play a different game. You just go in, you set up your configuration, hit export config, save it as a local only binding or a personal binding, which I think gets synced up with the cloud. And then you can even submit your configurations to the community. You can look for templates. You can browse configs and look for recommended configurations for whatever game you're playing. It's at least until you figure out all the details of all the options, or just for a base starting point, because you start with a blank slate, and it's like, what do I want you to do what? So you can find a recommended configuration and modify from there, and then upload that. But I'm impressed, despite the things I complained about in the unboxing portion. The battery operated, which the batteries it came with lasted all of about 12 hours. I've got some high capacity rechargeable batteries in here now, Energizer rechargeable batteries, and one charge has lasted around 30 hours, which is on par with the Wii U Pro Controller. So I understand why they didn't go with a rechargeable battery built-in. That would have raised the cost of the controller. The RF adapter seems to be working well. I was concerned about that with it not being Bluetooth, but it's working well, and that's probably because at this point not much runs on RF anymore. Everything is Bluetooth, so there's probably very little interference to worry about with the rest of the current technology. And all in all, I'm glad I bought it. I'm still getting used to doing stuff with the trackpads, but it's doing good, and it's a solid controller. Buttons all feel good. Joystick is nice and stiff. Well, it has good resistance. You can move it a little, move it a lot, pretty easily. And yeah, I recommend it. Keep in mind that the software is still in beta. Every beta update that's come through for the Steam client, the controller software has improved noticeably, and yeah, for $60 for a universal controller that can be configured to work with a game regardless of whether or not it supports joystick input, it was worth it. Oh, and you probably noticed in the unboxing video there's a USB port on the back of it that is not for charging if you happen to have rechargeable batteries installed. That is so you can actually run it, use the controller without batteries. You can have it plugged in, so you're not screwed if you run out of batteries, which is a good option. And I'm sure the reason they didn't make it a charging port for whatever batteries you put in is because, you know, they don't know what batteries you're going to put in. If you put in regular alkaline batteries and they die and you just plug it in without removing the batteries, you could ruin your controller, you could blow up the batteries. So, safety as much as anything, I'm sure, is why they didn't include any built-in charging functions. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for the Steam controller. I recommend it if you like playing with a controller, or you want to be able to play on your couch, but you can't drag your mouse and keyboard over there. Seriously, this controller, especially with the touchpad for the mouse, is about as close as you're going to get to a mouse and keyboard without actually using a mouse and keyboard, unless you want to go buy like an Astramus or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Leave a like and a comment if found this video informative, or if you have anything else to say about the controller. Have a discussion down below. And if there's any games or software you would like to see me do a review of, say something in the comments, and I will put it on my to-do list. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video, guys. Have a good